one guy covered in the American flag, waving around a lot of guns, and it's not a car rally? What is this?
Well, I wouldn't say he's waving around a lot of guns, but now a trash can lid, there you go.
Right.
See, you know what? I predicted, just like in this movie, that this is going to get nerds picking up garbage can lids, probably painting them first, throwing them around, and getting their asses beat.
Oh, but you see, these are nerds, mind you. And, well, all we have to do is look so far as our own Peter Fungus Monkey, who would say, no. You can now buy an actual replica Captain America shield. Because God help you if you're caught dead with one of those. What, a trash can lid? Are you serious? Oh, it makes me a little... Oh, I just threw up in my mouth a little.
Well, clearly, the movie we're talking about today is Captain America.
Yes.
And what's the verdict on this thing? Because so far it's been, don't know. Thor was good. Thor was surprisingly good.
Yeah, some would even say great.
I would say great.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the people who said, I don't know, I thought Green Lantern was better. It's like, wow. You need to not see movies anymore.
To be fair, most of those people's computer privileges were taken away at the psychiatric institute.
Okay. But now we got the follow-up, because I think Green Lantern scared everybody, because it seemed like, man, this is the summer of superheroes.
Yeah.
And now it's like, ooh, don't know. And we had those juggernauts come out, the Transformers and Harry Potter.
Okay, well, we knew Transformers was going to be bad, and
Yeah.
we knew Harry Potter was going to be good.
Right.
So those two were like, no duh. Ones,
Right,
you know?
right.
It would have been shocking if either one of those had gone another way. Sorry, fanboys. But, Captain America was, for me, the big what if. Green Lantern was a surprise, because I was the one guy who thought that was actually going to be good. I was like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. This looks good to me. Yeah, what are you going to do? And Thor looked bad, but that was good.
Yeah.
Captain America was the one I was like, well, I think it looks good, and I think it could be good, but I think the odds are they're not going to do it right. It's just such a hard... you've got, there is, no matter how patriotic you are, there is something inherently silly about a guy wearing an American flag, calling himself Captain America, and running around, more so than almost any other superhero, really. And that's a barrier that, through reading the comics, and really great writing in the comics, I got over. But I didn't know if they could sell that in a cinematic sense.
I got to say, even before, the great comics that were, written, especially the Ed Brubaker, your Mark Waid's, even back in the day, growing up, Captain America was my favorite superhero. Even more than Spider-Man, even more than Batman, it was Captain America. So I always knew there was a good story there. But it's like, well, will they tell it? Because every chance they've had to tell it, they've taken a big shit on it.
Well, the problem, once again, is not so much whether or not... Okay, so you grew up on it. You grew up with one of your favorite heroes. But I tell you, just from having conversations with people, your average non-comic book fan, and even a lot of comic book fans, like, Captain America sucks.
Oh, hey, I understand.
And they're not right. I'm not saying they're right.
Right.
I'm just saying that, like...
That's perception is reality.
And we're talking a multi-million-dollar, a big budget Hollywood film that success is vital as the final step to making sure that the big process towards the Avengers, don't make me say it, Leon, comes to fruition, where the Avengers is going to be the one where everyone's excited about and everyone goes to see it, and it obviously won't be a bad film. So, all right, so this was the final linchpin. This is the final
yeah, it was. It's like
step.
everything, it was hanging on this here.
And the hardest part of it, I'm sorry, it is silly. Taken from the outside, the idea of Captain America, his very name, is like, to a cynical society like ours, where everything about us now is cynical. Our humor is cynical and cyclical at the same time,
Sure.
How do you sell people on this idea? And Joe Johnston, a director who certainly had a mixed
a rocky career, to say the least.
He's had films that are considered more often than not after the fact to be like good films, like The Rocketeer is one that he's probably most applauded for by geeks. But he's also had any number of certainly not successful films like The Page Master and Hidalgo, and even though we liked it, no one else seemed to. Jurassic Park 3.
Right.
It's why he's on Spielberg's dick still, though. So, what are you going to do? And it was like, was this the guy? Is this the guy you're going to hand this over to? And after seeing this, you can totally tell this is the guy who directed The Rocketeer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's got that same sense of, like, old school adventure film to it.
Yeah.
Of that period it's a period piece, but a imagination of a period piece.
Yeah,
It never tries to be like, this is what it was really like in 1942.
But it's also, I mean, you talk about Spielberg. It's like with the Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's a guy who really idolizes that period in time.
Yeah.
And idolizes the films from that period.
Completely glamorizes it. But in a classical Hollywood sense.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's it's funny because like I wasn't a big fan of The Rocketeer because I just was like, oh, it's just soft and it's very glossy. It just wasn't the comic that I read. But now watching this, I'm like, you know what? I need to go back and rewatch The Rocketeer and give it another chance.
Didn't it make you want to do that? It made me want to do it.
Yeah.
I need to apologize to Fish.
I know. Well, the thing is, something you brought up about whether he was the guy. It's kind of like with Kenneth Branagh directing Thor. It was like, on one hand, what's he know about a big, gigantic superhero movie? But he does know Shakespeare.
He does.
And that certainly played in his favor. And with Joe Johnston,
Whatever.
whatever. He knows, he knows the films of that period, and that made him, yes, he absolutely was the guy for this movie.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that while Captain America is not a flawless run of events, certainly there's awkward moments. Some of the transitions between acts are rather uncomfortable. There's points I literally expected the actors to be hooking their thumbs through their belt loops, whistling and looking around, waiting to see what was going to happen next. It's not as bad as I'm making it sound, but nonetheless, there is some awkwardness here. I think a lot of that stems from probably Johnston just probably being fucking terrified.
Could be. He's got Marvel, Disney, and their bankers on his back. Going like, you got to make this work. We got a big film, and if you fuck this up, you fuck up everything.
Yeah.
Hey, Branagh did it. You better get your act together. Okay.
He's going to be the guy who will not be able to find work in this town if he doesn't make this work.
No, trust me. I can do this.
And yet I'm still uncertain whether or not audiences are going to show up to see it.
Well, you know what? You can't control the audiences. Yeah. I mean, me and Corey go through this every week. With the box office numbers, and I just have to feel like, you know what? It just doesn't matter ultimately. I mean, if the film does great, it's not going to put money in my pocket one way or the other. No. But you know what? You get out there, you make the best artistic statement that you can. If people come, awesome. If they don't, you still, you know what? You did what you set out to do.
Yeah.
And I'll say for this movie, for anybody who's like, well, Captain America guy, like you said, runs around in a flag costume, gung ho about America. That's dumb. That's actually explained really well in the film.
Yeah. In fact, let's just go to the beginning here and talk about what this movie is actually about for those weirdos out there who don't have a clue what Captain America's story. It's you and me that seems weird.
I know. It's like, what, you don't know Captain America? Where you been?
Like, for us, that's
Were you on a football team or something?
Like,
wait, were you having sex with women? Come on.
You don't know what a car is? I mean, that's like encountering that, and you're like, wait, you don't understand. Anyway,
but you are aware that he carries a shield and he does throw it.
All right, so the movie starts out present day as some of the of course. God, I can't even remember the guy's name. The guy who always plays the ever-present SHIELD agent in all these movies.
Nick Fury.
No, the other guy.
It's Clark Gregg.
Yeah.
He's Agent Coulson.
Yeah, Clark Gregg. Agent Coulson and some other agents uncover a aircraft frozen in the ice in the Arctic, and as they wipe off the ice of something, it's Captain America's famous shield, and they go, "You want to come take a look at this?"
Yeah.
And then suddenly we're in 1942, where Nazi Hugo Weaving as Johann Schmidt invade this castle in Norway to steal this strange glowing cube.
This tesseract.
Yeah, a tesseract that if you stayed to the end of Thor, you got to see a little advanced preview of what it was, because that's how it is. That he even refers to as the jewel of Odin's treasure room, in case that you didn't remember that scene from Thor. Meanwhile, back in New York City, this is World War II is going on. Hitler is rolling roughshod over Europe, and the Americans are just freshly really getting into the war. And Steve Rogers, who is like the literal 90-pound weakling, played here by a digitally manipulated Chris Evans. And mind you, this is not Evans' head on a body of another actor. They actually digitally reduced Evans' own body for that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I watched a whole thing about it where they did not put his head on someone else.
Oh, I just figured they hired a little kid and put his head on.
And it looks good either way.
It does.
does. But no, that's not what they did. I just assumed that's what they did, but apparently they said it looked odd. So instead, they just digitally reduced him in every shot. All the way.
Take that, Brad Pitt.
But he really wants to fight because he's super patriotic and he keeps getting rejected, and he's illegally going to different places pretending he's other people in order to try and, another shot. Maybe this guy will take me. But I mean, he is pathetic. Seriously.
No, really, like a concentration camp victim would have looked at him and gone, "Sonny, you're never gonna make it.
Take my sandwich. Go ahead, eat." His best friend, Sergeant Bucky Barnes, you know where this is headed in comic book fans, played by Sebastian Stan, is kind of showing off, kind of like, come on, I'm going to the war, but you're a good kid. Don't worry about it. Get a job working to like those posters with the chick who looks like a lesbian with her arm upraised.
Rosie the Riveter.
Rosie the Riveter,
Yeah.
that's it. I thought it was a Vaseline advertisement. It's like, you can do stuff here at home, but that's not enough. And
no, he really wants to join.
Yeah.
He's like, man, the Nazis are a bunch of bullies.
Yeah.
I've had to fight or get my ass kicked by bullies my whole life. I want to stop the Nazis. I want to do my part.
And one day when they're at the World's Fair, which is a perfect, Marvel setting, because for one thing, we get to see Howard Stark, Tony Stark's dad, displaying the first.
Who's the actor who plays his dad?
Dominic